My dream since I was a little girl was to have a baby. I wanted to be a mom. All I ever wanted was one little girl, and I was going to name her Harley, and my dream was going to be, that was it. That was the dream. I actually was given my dream. I married everything I ever put on paper for a guy that I would want. He's that and more. And then I get pregnant, and I have a daughter. I have a girl. Oh my God. Dream come true. I was like, this is great. Because I've only really ever wanted one child, and I wanted just one girl. And I was like, oh, thank you, God. I regret making being a mom my dream. And I wish that I did not have that as a dream. I have been severely disappointed with the dream. I was dreaming of a life that I had no idea what it was about. It's not just a few moments of like, no, don't do that. A few smelly diapers, and you're just gonna have this happy-go-lucky fucking family. No, that's not reality. That's not real life. You know what is real life? Me being at home, thinking that being a stay-at-home mom was a dream, and I actually was given the opportunity. And now we're in a position where I don't really have a choice but to stay home with her right now. It's temporary, thank God. But being a mother is the most draining experience of your life. It changes every single person around you. Every single person around you. Every single friend, every family member, the relationship with your husband, the relationship with yourself. I am so fat. I don't recognize myself at all. I was so much more fit before I had her. I was geared the fuck in. None of my clothes fit me. My husband works a lot more than he used to. So spending time with him, it's not like it used to be. We are in bed the latest at 9 o'clock every day.
I consider myself someone that stands 10 toes down on the fact that I regret motherhood. It's like I don't regret my daughter, I regret the role.
I think people are rubbed the wrong way about it because most moms feel that way.
Yeah.
And you're not allowed to say it.
There is an anxiety that I have developed having a child that never lived in me before at all. The fear of even when she's not with me and I don't have to be selfless. I'm still thinking about, is somebody going to hurt her? Is a fucking earthquake going to happen? A mother is like who I am, like at my core. And because of that, it consumes a lot of my thoughts and I fucking hate that.
I need space from my child in order to be a good parent. I can play as much as a 34-year-old woman can play.
Yeah.
But like feeling guilty about that too. Like I chose to be a mother. You're supposed to love every part.
One day she's not going to want to play
She's
with
not
you.
going to want to play. You're going to wish you played. No, I won't.
I'm going to say something that will make some people upset. I think we need to normalize regretting having your children. I'm a therapist and I work with kids, teens, young adults, as well as parents. And there are so many parents who have been vulnerable enough with me in their therapy sessions to admit that they regret having their children. Now, before you shame those parents, these are really, really good parents. Now, these aren't all parents that I work with. It's just a emotion that does come up in therapy that I don't think really gets talked about, because if they were to say some of these words out loud or to other people, they would get shamed for it. And don't get me wrong, these are amazing parents. They're great parents. They love their children. They would do anything for their children. They would never give their children up. But it's just talking about the emotion of regretting having them.
I do not want children. I have never wanted children. So here are more reasons why I think having a child would make me hate my life.
So she goes on for over 4 minutes talking about all the reasons that she doesn't want to ever have children. And they're basically all very, very selfish reasons. I don't want to have to destroy my body. I don't want to have to give any of my time or energy to them when I'm tired. I want to do what I want all the time. And I never want to have to do what somebody else wants. Being selfish is not ever something we should be proud of or brag about on the internet. These women and people like her are not considering what they're going to feel like when they're 60, 70, 80 years old. And they're going to be a point in the future where they will probably have some regret about that. Maybe they won't, but I think there's a good chance of it. And also ending up alone in your old age is a very, very sad and lonely state of life. And I don't think she's thinking about that. Hopefully it's just her youth talking, and as she matures, she will find that desire and be a really good mom.
Ew. Gil, get a hobby. How are we still having this conversation in 2025? Let this be the year it dies. I just find it ironic calling somebody selfish, which isn't a bad thing, by the way. It's your life. You should live it the way you want to. When your one and only reason you can come up with for having kids is, oh, I don't want to be lonely when I'm old. What, is that not selfish too? You're having a kid because you want a little friend to keep you company in 60 years. How does that make any sense? There's no mention of, I'd love to raise a child. I'd love to see them grow up. La la la. It's always, I don't want to be by myself. Oh, that sounds a little bit selfish. And it's just daft as well, because there's no guarantee your kid is going to be there for you when you are in your old age. They might not like you. They might go no contact. They might move to a different country and not be able to travel to you. They might die. You might die. You can build a community with other people. It doesn't just have to be the ones that you've birthed. Also, I'm starting to think these people hate kids, because why are you trying to encourage somebody who's actively saying, I don't want to be a parent, to do it anyway? Do you want these kids to be miserable? You want them to grow up in a home where they weren't wanted? How does that make any sense? I'm sure that'll be great for their development in their older years. And I can't help but feel like it is extremely patronising to think, oh, maybe that's just the youth talking. She'll grow out of it and realise she should be a mother. Being a parent doesn't equal a gateway to maturity, you know? That comes from so many other life experiences and just your general personality itself. These videos are just so strange. Like, she doesn't know this woman, and she's like, oh, you should grow up and be a good mom. Sounds a bit like a cult, you know? Maybe we just do what we want to do. I don't know.
I'd much rather regret not having children than regret having children later in life.
A book that seriously shifted my perspective on this is called Regretting Motherhood. I listened to it on Audible, and as a intentional non-parent, I think it's really great that this conversation is being had prior to having children. Everybody featured in that book had already had children. While the sample of the women in this book is very culturally limited, in my opinion, for me it would still be a soft recommendation, especially for anyone who is coming from a culture where motherhood is just absolutely expected of you. The women featured in this book definitely were. And reading this book, you realize that the amount of women who feel this way but cannot outwardly admit it to anyone except to do so anonymously is massive. Additionally, kids understand exactly how you feel and if you regret them. Children are by and large intuitive when it comes to the feelings of their parents. We by and large underestimate kids and underestimate that specific hurt.
The sad thing about women regretting motherhood is that it does not stop with these women. The list goes on and on with almost no end. I am pretty sure more women, to some extent some men, regret parenthood, much more than society wants us to believe. It's time to speak up. Hello everyone, my name is Anthony. I am the judge, the jury, and the executioner.
Not everyone's gonna admit to this, but I hate being a mom.
Okay, so while I may not feel the same way that this mom does about motherhood, I can empathize with how she's feeling. I feel like there are a lot of reasons why a lot of women hate motherhood. And a lot will not admit it because everyone's in a competition to have the most perfect, ideal, great, wonderful life and be the perfect mom. I think it's partly the expectations that we as a society put on women. It's in general, but then when women become mothers, there are these expectations that are put on us as mothers that fathers don't have. Almost every mom I know would rather be a dad. No one expects dads to be up all night doing the diaper changes or handling any tantrums or doing the appointments for the doctors or the school stuff or any of it. If a dad simply just exists in the same house as his kids, he's given the award for the best dad of the fucking century. It's the moms who have to pick up all the slack, who are expected to. Moms are never expected to take a break, never expected to take a sick day. Moms are not allowed to have a man cold and get taken care of. And having all this put on you and you're not expected to ask for help. And when you do ask for help, you're like, oh, well, you shouldn't have been a mother if you need help. Whatever other snarky, shitty comment people make about moms wanting to take a break. When I go on a vacation by myself every year, and like clockwork, people, if I post it to my Facebook, people are like, where are your kids? They have a father. He knows their allergies. He ain't gonna call and bother me while I'm on my vacation. Most women don't have a village. It's like the village ups and runs away when you have a baby. I've seen this happen to almost every mom I know. Think about all the people I know, like close to me, that are mothers. I'm one of the only ones that has a support system that I can depend on. I'm one of the only ones that gets to take breaks. I feel extremely fortunate, but that should be a norm. That shouldn't be the exception to the rule. You've got a lot of burnt out mothers who are at the end of their mental ropes, with no room to breathe, no room to regroup and recharge. We end up with resentful, hurt, bitter moms who hate motherhood, who don't think they should have been mothers. And it's not just because of a personal issue with them. This is a much bigger issue in a much bigger picture. And I really think we as a society need to address that. How mothers have such little help. Mothers have to suffer in silence. Because if they admit to feeling defeated, they get this shitty pushback. Oh, you're a horrible mother. What if your kids see this? If we were supporting mothers like we should, maybe they wouldn't come online so upset. Maybe they wouldn't be so burnt out and touched out. These are women begging for help, and we need to help them.
If I was a woman, I wouldn't want to have a child either. Why would I want to have a child? I don't need to have a child. I don't need to have a man. I don't need to pretend that I'm in love. I don't need to pretend that I want to be a mother. I don't need to stay at home and play giggle with a little child who's just another slave in the system. I don't have to do any of this shit. Why should I do that? Why should I waste my resources doing this when there's other games that are much more fun that are available for me to play? Why? And don't tell me I will find fulfillment, because my mother didn't find fulfillment. My grandmother didn't find fulfillment. And that's why I'm the byproduct of their lack of fulfillment. So I'm talking as a woman, right? I'm the byproduct of my mom, my grandmother, and all these lineages of women that came before me. And I'm the byproduct of their discontent. And then you tell me I should do the same thing as they did. Well, quite clearly it didn't work out. So why I should do this? What's the point? How's that going to fulfill me? And the only reason I did that before, or a couple of generations ago, is because the zoo required me, through its ordained religious priests and its science of the time, which was religion, that imposes us to do that and gave us, this is what you are as a woman, you're supposed to give birth. And you as a man are supposed to go work in the field like a donkey. This was ordered by the zookeepers in order for us to create more slaves so that we can build the zoo and make the zoo structure increase and grow and grow and grow. So I didn't really want to have a child. I was obliged to have a child. It was what I did because there's nothing else to do. And that was what was told to me to do, even though it may match my biology. I didn't necessarily want to have a child. What for? What's in it for me?
Are you actually curious why I don't like motherhood? I'd love to tell you. Because society thinks that maternity leave is a vacation. Because people think that stay-at-home moms don't work. Because childcare is astronomically high. Because we don't think that moms work, but we expect families to pay for the childcare for their children as if it's actually work. That men actually make more when they become fathers and women make less if they even stay in the workforce. That moms like you have a different experience of motherhood, so think that they can go judge other moms for having a different experience of motherhood. Because I'm expected to disappear because I'm a mom now and not have any dreams. And I'm judged for having dreams when I finally realize I'm a human and I'm still allowed to have them. And I think that's it for now, but please get the fuck off my page.
It's something that you'll get a lot of hate for if you say it out loud.
That a lot of parents out there regret having kids. A lot of women have been sold on the idea that being a mother is everything and that if you don't have kids, then what good are you? And then once they have kids, it's not all flowers and roses like they've been told. Nobody tells the truth about the real costs of having kids. Babies are born sick and they have ailments. Partners can't handle it and they bail. And then it's a great disappointment that the child grows up to be something totally different than the idea that you have in your head. And once the resentment sets in, they tend to lash out at people who chose not to have children. Mostly out of jealousy because they have the freedom to do things while you still have a child attached to your hip. So if you're considering having kids, think long and hard because having a child is a lifelong commitment. It doesn't end when the kid turns 18. It lasts a lifetime.
Growing up is realizing that the real reason a lot of men are so passionate about things like abortion is because deep down they know, culturally and historically, motherhood has been used to isolate women. And that's what they want. Do you hear how these men talk about single mothers? Do you think a person who's always going around hoeing is going to be someone who's going to be in a committed nuclear family? Really? The reality is that they want not just the child to be a consequence, they want motherhood to be a consequence. They simply want to punish women of whom they feel are sexually immoral, or who are not sexually immoral with them. The reality is that when a woman becomes a mother, she loses a significant piece of her autonomy. And I need you guys to understand that that is always and was always the end goal. Look at what motherhood was historically. It has always been a way to subjugate, manipulate, and isolate women in society to continue to be objects for their husbands or for men in general. Look at the ways in which actual mothers on this app describe motherhood. So much of the time, mothers become mothers and they regret being mothers because of the amount that they lose out on socially. The ways in which they are treated change. The responsibilities that they have change so drastically, and that is why a lot of mothers are widely lonely within this country. In these debates, we need to do better. We need to look at what's happening and really come to an understanding of what is really being argued. What is argued is not about the protection of the baby. It's not about the responsibility of the mother. It is simply to punish women with the most painful thing known to man, because they don't have sex the way that men want them to have sex. And yes, obviously women can enforce these misogynistic worldviews, but the fact of the matter is that these worldviews are dominated by men and created by men and enforced by their victims a lot of the time. But this is why I could never understand the pro-life stance. Yes, you can be against abortion yourself, but the numbers don't lie. When Roe v. Wade was enacted, less people got abortions overall. That's just a fact. And even if abortion was categorically murder, I think we would all assume that, we would want less murder over more murder. Banning abortion or even charging people who get an abortion doesn't stop abortions. How do we go about lessening abortions? I don't know, maybe expanding the health care that women receive, maybe providing an expansion on the care that makes it so that women are less likely to get pregnant by providing them increased contraceptives, maybe expanding our education on sex from middle school and up, as people are having sex younger and younger and engaging in riskier sex practices when they don't receive that education? I don't know. I feel like this is a no-brainer, especially amongst teenagers. We see less teenagers engaging in risky sexual behaviors when they are given comprehensive sex education. What could possibly be the issue if it's giving us literally what we want?
Mom admitted online that she loves her 3 kids, but regrets having them. She posted to Reddit recalling how much her life had changed since having her first child 12 years ago. She felt like her life had ended. Now she likens herself to a full-time nanny, chef, and maid for 3 little humans. She doesn't feel like her kids show her any respect and that they aren't even that fond of her, and her husband isn't helping matters any. She says she grew up with a bad mom, so now she overcompensates by always trying to take the best care of her home and her family, and she always feels underappreciated. She's not alone in these feelings. Studies have shown that around 1 in 10 parents regret having children, and they suffer in silence because there's a huge stigma attached to this regret. While many women are aware of the physical changes that can occur in order for them to become a mom, many women are not prepared for the overwhelming burden of becoming the primary caretaker for the family. Not to mention the fact that many stay-at-home parents face isolation, loneliness, loss of identity, and depression. The primary parent should have time for self-care, self-discovery, and time away from the responsibilities of being a parent. And the partner needs to step up and make the entire family a priority, which includes the mother. The key is finding balance, which isn't always easy. Hang in there, Mama. You're not alone.
I just had to drop my daughter off at daycare at 8 weeks old, and I hate it. Everybody just kept saying, she's so little. Like, I know, she is so little. And I still have to go into work. Like, I'm so happy to be back here, and I'm not.
This is my 5th time recording this because I don't want to cry on camera. I'm sitting outside my house right now in my driveway, and I don't want to go back inside even though all my errands are done, because I'm upset and I'm angry and I have no one to really talk to about this. I feel quite isolated. So I'm sharing it here in hopes that it finds the right audience, because my toddler for the last 6 months has been so mean. And at first I didn't want to react to it. I know having a preferred parent is very common and often that switches. I know all of this, okay? But it's been going on for so long that it's starting to become it's starting to cut deeper, because it's why hasn't it switched? Why am I not the preferred parent? What am I doing wrong? I take care of the whole house. I make sure I'm the one making sure she's eating healthy and she's fed and she's, getting all the stuff that she needs. And it's very draining, and I'm feeling very emotional over it. And so every single night for the last 6 months, she has only wanted Dad. And anytime Dad is home, on weekends, she only wants Dad. And I never react to it. But this morning it was really bad. I just came back from a 3-day trip in Whistler for a work trip, and I missed my family. And yesterday was okay, but again, it was the same thing last night. She only wanted Dad. And then this morning, I'm busy making breakfast for the family. And she keeps asking Daddy to play with her. And Daddy said, I'm busy right now. Why? Mommy's going to play with you. Mommy will play with you. And she said, no, I don't want to. I'll just play by myself. So first, ouch, you would... I want to play with my child, and she doesn't want to play with me. And then she asked him again, and he says, why don't you ask Mommy? And she said, I don't really like Mommy. And kids say stuff, I know that. I didn't really react to it. And then over and over, 8 times over, she said, I just really like Daddy best. I don't really love Mommy. And hearing it, repeated like that, sorry, it just cut deep. And I feel bad because I'm now, resentful towards my husband. And it's not his fault, but I just am. I'm angry. And I try so hard to care for everyone, take care of the house, take care of her, be a good wife, while also still trying to maintain my own identity, my work. And it's I feel really underappreciated right now.
So here's a story example of why I think so many women today are putting themselves first over having kids and starting a family and getting married. So about 6 months ago, I was working at this garden center, and it's 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. This guy comes in, he's my only customer, and he just looks very visibly confused, lost. And so I go up to him, can I help you with anything? And he goes, yeah, it's my wife's birthday, and I just don't know what to get her. I know she likes plants. Would you pick something out for her? And I was like, yeah, what's your budget? And he goes, $50? I was like, have you ever picked out a gift for your wife, dude? Geez. And so I pick out this fully blooming hydrangea and a pretty decorative pot, and I just set the hydrangea pot in the pretty pot, and I'm like, you can put this on the dining room table. She can keep it there till the blooms die, and then she can plant it in a shady spot in the yard, right? And so he picks it, he takes it, puts it on the counter, no questions asked. I check him out, and right before he goes to pay, he's like, I don't know if she's gonna want this. And I was like, this is a great gift. She's going to love this. If my boyfriend brought this home for me, I would flip out. And he's like, I just don't know. I don't know what kind of plant she wants. And he goes, do you guys have gift cards? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, well, let me just get a gift card so she can pick out what she wants. And I was like, okay. So I'm like, you want a $50 gift card? He goes, no, let's make it 40. So I was like, okay. So I check out a $40 gift card. And he goes, could I leave this up here with you so that she can come pick out what she wants after work? And I was like, I think it'd be more meaningful. I was like, you can, but I think it'd be more meaningful if you had this waiting at home for her, in a card or something, so that you guys can come back and pick it out together. And he was like, well, yeah, well, if she doesn't come get it today, if she doesn't come pick up her gift card, she's never going to find the time to come up here and pick out what she wants. And so I was like, yeah, you can leave it up here. That's fine. So he leaves. Many hours go by. It's like towards closing time. I think we had like 15 minutes until we closed. This minivan pulls up into our parking lot, and it's this woman. She's in full scrubs. She proceeds to unload her like 3 or 4 children, right, into strollers. They're like all under the age of 6. She pulls up inside, and she walks up to the counter. I could tell she had been crying. She was very visibly upset. And she was like, I think my husband left a gift card up here for me. My name is Victoria. I was like, yeah, it's right here. And she goes, how much is on it? And I said 40. And she goes, great. And so she then proceeds to pick out literally exactly what I picked out. I think the pot was like slightly different, but she picks out a hydrangea and a pot. And she goes to pay. It wasn't all covered by the gift card. It would have been if he'd done 50, but she pays with a gift card, and then she pays like $3 extra with her card. And I could tell she was going to struggle to get it out to her car, because she was like pushing a stroller, and she had all these kids running around. So I was like, let me take this out for you. And she goes, oh no, like that's okay, I know you're about to close. I was like, I really don't mind. So I go out with her to her car. She's struggling to get her kids loaded up in the car. She's struggling to like open the trunk, and I'm just standing there with her hydrangea, and she opens the trunk, and there's like strollers, all these toys, and she was like, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed, like my car's so messy. I was like, you're fine. And so she clears this little space. I put her hydrangea down, and I was like, well, I hope you have a great rest of your day, like I hope your birthday goes well. And she looks at me, and she just immediately starts tearing up, and she looks at me and she goes, he couldn't have just picked this out himself? He had to make me come do it? And I was like, I'm so sorry. And I literally think about that woman like once a month, because that is so many women's reality right now. And like just working in customer service for the time that I did, I saw so many women being treated like that by their husbands. And it's just like, it's everywhere. And so I think so many girls my age are looking around like, ooh, I don't want to go through that. And so they're choosing to like either get married and not have kids, or not get married, or choosing to be single. And yeah, I really believe that that's a huge factor in why we have such a significant decline in our birth rate. Anyway.
2 years ago, I was talking to another classmate who was working for an NGO in Southeast Asia. She told me about the basic medical clinics they ran, and how it was shocking how many women were begging for birth control. Most of them already had several kids and knew they could not afford to feed anymore, but they had to keep it a secret from their husbands. In that culture, having a lot of children is tied to a man's ego and manhood. So birth control was somehow seen as an insult. Most of these women had to drop out of school by 14 or 15 to get married, which basically ended their dreams of an education or escaping poverty. The clinic could not provide the birth control at the time, but a new nurse eventually started a program specifically for women's health. Her goal was to educate the community and work toward offering contraception as the program grew. It makes me so thankful for the healthcare we have here, where women actually get to choose. Whether someone wants no children or just a couple, I believe they should have the basic freedom to make that decision for themselves. Becoming a mother is really a singular, straightforward path. It's a deeply layered experience that defies simple definitions. Even for those who entered it with every intention and desire, the reality often carries a weight of unforeseen downsides. On the flip side, I have to acknowledge there is likely some truth in what parents tell me, that by choosing to remain child-free, I am inevitably missing out on certain perspectives. Nothing in life is truly one-dimensional. If we, as a society, could be more transparent about the messy complexity of these roles, I believe we find ourselves in a much healthier headspace. At the very least, it might foster a genuine sense of compassion for those of us who choose to walk a different path. If you are on the fence, don't do it. The possibility of having a disabled child is always there, and you don't always get a choice to know ahead of time. Autism doesn't show up until they are already around 2 years old. Level 3 and non-verbal child for someone with unhealed trauma is absolute hell, and there is no end to it because the child will always need to live with you and depend on you for caregiving the rest of your life. Not to mention the complete fear of dying before them and not knowing who will take care of them after you, or if they will be loved after you are gone. Parenting is a permanent 24/7 job that lasts a lifetime. So you should only do it if you are 100% sure. Kids are a mix of everything. They can be messy and difficult one minute and sweet and loving the next. And they require your constant energy with no days off. Even though society and family often pressure women to have children because it's expected, you should not just follow the crowd. It's a huge decision that changes your life forever. So make sure you are choosing it for yourself and not just to please everyone else. Tell me your thoughts in the comment section. So what I usually say is stay alert, stay focused, don't fail for the government psyop. And until the next video, thank you for your attention to this matter.